Welcome to Lab 3 on Prism Spectra. We're going to use the Prism Spectrometer for this lab, so we'll first introduce that instrument. You should look through the telescope and observe a vertical line when the barrel of the telescope is lined up straight across from the source, as shown here. On the left side of the spectrometer, you'll see a dial readout that's based on the vernier scale. We'll take a minute to describe that here. Notice that the 0 mark on the top scale is opposite the 360 mark on the bottom scale. The bottom scale is listed in degrees, with the next largest tick marks being 5 degrees, then single degrees, and then half-degree steps. The upper scale is in minutes, with 30 minutes per half degree, or 60 minutes per degree. To read this scale, we always read across from the 0 mark on the inner dial. In this case, we would read 360, which is the same as 0 degrees. If we swing the telescope to our left, we make that deviation angle larger, so we can read it now. You'll notice if I go across from the 0 mark on the inner scale, I'm in between tick marks on the outer scale. So I go to the largest value that I'm above, which would in this case be, I go to 35, 36, 37. So I'm at 37 degrees and then some. To find out how much that sum is, I find ticks that match from the inner scale to the outer scale. And it turns out over here at 26, I have a pair of tick marks that line up. So I'm at 37 degrees and 26 minutes. 26 sixtieths is 0.43. So this would be 37.43 degrees. If we place the prism on the prism spectrometer, we'll be able to look through and measure angles that correspond to certain colors of the prism spectrum. This is a view of the green and orange lines corresponding to the mercury spectrum. Here I'm gently rotating the prism, and you'll notice that the lines sort of bounce to the right. I want to move them as far to the right as I can, because that corresponds to the minimum deviation angle. Here's a view as we pivot all the way over and view the violet line. You will use these techniques to measure the minimum angle of deviation for several spectral lines and to observe differences between the various light sources in the lab.